You're listening to episode 325 of the Major Issues Podcast, the first episode under the Dirt Sheet Radio CBC collaboration, and we are tackling Do A Powerbomb. Get that hot tag. The Major Issues Podcast starts right now. Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason, and that's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by comicbookclick.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
Me? I'm John Escudero, aka Yogi.
Yogi is here in studio, and he's not alone. Other sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
I am Alex Garcia, aka The Cog. What's going on, y'all?
Yep. Debuting a new nickname, The Cog, the comic OG, and The Cog to this whole machine here at comicbookclick.com. I'm lovely to have you guys here to talk about a great book that we'll be discussing, Do A Powerbomb by Daniel Warren Johnson. What a story, what a book, something, a writer and an artist that has been on Alex's list and stuff he's covering over there with Transformers. It's such a cool mix-up of two of the things that we love the most over here at Comic Book Click, comic books and professional wrestling. As a matter of fact, we're in a bit of a hot period when it comes to professional wrestling. We've been saying a lot of the molehills were mountains in the last 10 years, but actually and factually, professional wrestling is becoming hot again across the country, across the world. It's seeing numbers globally that it hasn't in years. And this is a big week. We decided to cover this story in particular because of WrestleMania, which is the yearly event, the Super Bowl of wrestling, if you will, in North America, and WWE's flagship event. And who would have thought a partnership like comics and professional wrestling would go hand in hand? It did so well that we are actually about to make a bit of an announcement here. As we said several times before, Jonathan Escudero is the founder of Dirt Sheet Radio, which is a prominent pop culture, but mostly professional wrestling centric group over there. They're dominating all over social media, podcasts and stuff. And a lot of that stuff, we started here with Major Issues. And John, I guess do you want to take it from there?
Yeah. I mean, a long time ago, before I ever had an idea for Dirt Sheet Radio, I thought, man, I'd really love to talk about professional wrestling and particularly comic books at the time. I didn't realize how much more there'd be to it, but I reached out on my Facebook like, man, if anybody wanted to do something like this, we could do it together. And George reached out to me. And he had mentioned that he had a podcast called Major Issues that he was about to start. And I was like, wow, that sounds perfect. I'd love to do that. And so I did. At the same time, I started Dirt Sheet Radio, and it's been a few years now. We've had a little bit of success here and there, but I thought as we expanded into pop culture a couple years ago, we cover all types of movies, films, video game, comics, video games, all types of stuff. Now I thought, man, we need a dedicated pop culture content output, but it'd be dumb to try to do this on my own when we already have such good friends. Yes. I have such a good relationship with someone who already does this. Why don't we see what we can do together? And so George and I have been working for months now on what is about to be a beautiful, beautiful relationship between Dirt Sheet Radio and the Comic Book Click.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it here. There is a partnership that will be official. We will announce it, or it might have already been announced because this comes out on Thursday. Between between Comic Book Click and Dirt Sheet Radio. With Dirt Sheet Radio's reach, Comic Book Click is going to reach an audience that we've never had before. And with Comic Book Click, with their footprint on things like websites and stuff, we're bringing Dirt Sheet Radio to a whole new audience. This is going to change the game because one could almost say we've almost been handicapped by a lack of this partnership. I didn't
It's
think about
true.
it that way, but
It's true.
ultimately we're both doing half of a job and hoping that the rest of it kind of fills in together, just combining our forces, a tag team, if you will.
I will.
I really am excited for what the future of this brings. And it's no surprise. I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. When you started Dirt Sheet Radio, it was super exciting because it was I knew I was going to be going into business with not only somebody who enjoys the medium but is knowledgeable about the medium, likes to create spaces where everyone can share their opinion no matter how dumb it is. And there is also just so much that is the same when it comes to professional wrestling and it comes to comic books. We had an episode in our first year, I want to believe, called Wrestling with Comics, where we laid out a lot of those similarities. But to be honest, I stopped being able to come up with good excuses to cover. We did Glow. We covered the Glow comic books, and I just kept losing excuses to be able to cover pro wrestling as a part of Comic Book Click. But now with this merger, I get to put my fingers in all the pies. I wish I had a cleaner metaphor there.
That's disgusting.
But they're my
Do you
pies.
mean do you mean Poo-Tang pie?
Poo-tang pie.
You want some of the people strudel?
I want to say that man made bakery stuff dirty. But
But
yeah,
you
super
men-
excited about this.
you mentioned the similarity between comic books and pro wrestling, and I just thought, we like you said, we did go into a lot of it in depth on an earlier episode, which you should go check out.
Yeah,
Now, no,
yeah,
but beyond that, the fan bases are so similar, and there's such a big Venn diagram. People who read comic books and watch professional wrestling, but not just that, comic books, films that we cover, manga sometimes. There's so much, there's a big ass Venn diagram of people that enjoy all this same content. It makes all the sense in the world for us to operate as one. And so
yeah,
we will moving
yeah.
forward.
I guess ultimately we're suckers for a good story. And we were trying to fit ourselves in boxes that necessarily we didn't have to. A good story can permeate through the pages of a comic, can permeate through a movie or a television series, can permeate through a 20-minute match, where all of it is being done in a single take and has to elicit emotion, has to have people invested, and has to, in some way, make people want to come back for more. Like it's the equivalent to, professional wrestling matches is an equivalent to any single issue of a comic where it has to hook you, has to get somebody invested, and has to want you to come back. And I will also say comic book fans and wrestling fans might be some of the most abused fans out there, as they hold on to their specific, whether it be tribalism or superstars or writers or teams. And yeah, it may not be great, but it's going to get good eventually. It'll get there. We're always in the middle of the story with professional wrestling and comics. It can always get better. And that sort of optimism and that sort of, that's a feeling that I think only those two fan bases really, really, really understand. So yeah, excited to move forward with this partnership. And we figured, come on, the first thing we should cover as a group would be do a power bomb. Alex, when did you first hear about this book?
Oof. Well, Daniel Warren Johnson was someone who was on my radar for a little while. A book came out by the name of Murder Falcon,
Okay,
which I was like, just the title, like, what the hell is a Murder Falcon?
right.
It's an image book that he produced. I still have yet to read, but I kept hearing amazing things about it. And then once Do a Powerbomb came out, because they came out very close, I was like, what? A pro wrestling book done by this guy? Oh, and I did read his Beta Ray Bill miniseries, which if you guys haven't checked that out, check it out. If you're a
Okay.
Marvel fan, a Cosmic fan, yeah. So this guy was just like I said, already on my radar. Beta Ray Bill. It was so weird how he did that. He showed up in Marvel, did this amazing miniseries, and then like kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then showed back up with Murder Falcon. And I was like, okay, I remember this guy, but I just couldn't find the issues. But then when Do a Power Bomb came out, like I said, like just like you said, right? Comic books, wrestling. I fit into that Venn diagram where I like both of those things, put them together with this guy's art style, and I was like, I gotta read this. And then knowing that you're a big wrestling fan, I was like, this is too easy a thing for us to cover. So
Right.
once I was like, let's. I've been telling you to put this on the schedule for like what, a year,
Yeah, it's been
you
a
know?
minute. Yeah.
It's, because this story is absolutely amazing. This guy has a way of just not only being able to tell a story with his art, with the stoics, like the stoic poses,
Yeah.
but even the fluid motion with which he can tell these stories, which like there's one of it's like we've talked about with Transformers that he's also doing right now. He makes these blocky robots move like wrestlers. And if
Yeah.
you know, having read this was one of the big reasons that made me go, "Oh man, his Transformers will be amazing," and it is. And if you're a wrestling fan and if you're a comic book fan, this is an easy thing to pick up. You will read it. I've read it twice already, and it still hits. It still hits.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
think I think sometimes, I know me in particular, and I know some friends of mine, I find it hard to read comics that involve wrestling. I like the WWE comics or
They're
the
not great.
WCW
I was going
I,
to talk about it. I was going to bring
I
that up. Yeah, yeah. They're terrible. They're
yeah,
terrible.
but this was different. I mean, it's different in that it's told from like a different. It's told from the viewpoint of a fan, but not just a fan of like WWE. It's told from the viewpoint of a wrestling fan. It can be
Yeah.
you can see it in the inspirations that they take with the moves, whether it be the designs, the ideas. It comes from so many different places in pro wrestling. It's just like a crazy experience to see
Yeah.
in a comic book. Someone finally putting that together like that. I've never actually, as much as pro wrestling and comics have been similar, have in common. I've never seen someone put all those elements together into one place like this. It's not because it's not always, the showmanship is a big part of it, but there's so many small technical things that you don't even know about if you're a wrestling fan on a certain level like that. This book comes from such a knowledgeable place. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we've seen outsiders kind of tackle wrestling when you think of stuff like The Wrestler, right? We've seen people kind of take angles on this, and the parts that they find interesting kind of, chew it up and spit it out to an audience that doesn't necessarily uh, know it. This feels like it's, again, from a fan for a fan kind of stuff. You can definitely read it and enjoy it without it, without full on knowledge of other professional wrestling companies and stuff like that. There's still a lot of heart to the original core story here, but on top of that is just sprinkles upon sprinkles of references of tropes that are in professional wrestling, hot tags, kickouts at 2.5, promoters BSing and not having what they said that they're gonna have for you at the end of the night. All of that and more. And again, these are things that um you don't see these things and go, oh, this is a misunderstanding from somebody who's looking at it at a distance. If anything, it just feels like I said, a fan talking to me, and I'm a fan, so the language that we're speaking is the same. And I also really think that um, it embraces one of the things that I think it kind of splits our fandom in the middle, like professional wrestling fandom in the middle. It embraces the absolute ridiculous nature of professional wrestling. And a lot of people, will go to bat for this idea of, it should always have like this stoic realism to it. And I do think there's a middle ground for that kind of stuff. And you can do some absolutely bonkers, ridiculous zombie coming out of the casket with lightning bolts kind of stuff, and then you could do just bare bones, two guys in the ring, never leaving the ring, putting it all out there, blood, sweat, and tears, athletic performance. And that's on the same show, or it should be on the same show, or it could be on the same show. This book ebbs and flows through some of that stuff here, where I'm like, oh, it is a comedy. And I'm like, oh, this got really freaking serious really quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, gonna stop gushing about this book. We're just gonna get into it and talk about it. But I'm gonna just gather real quick that we all dug it.
I did.
Definitely
I definitely did.
Yeah.
loved it. Love it.
I immediately looked for it on Amazon after the second issue reveal. I immediately was like, I gotta get this. I need to have this. But you know what's funny? I'm in a business now where I get books to give. You know what I'm saying? Like I get books to be like, oh,
Nice.
I love this story so much. I want it, not necessarily to own it, but to evangelize it. To be like,
Of
this
course.
is this is what you need in your life. You don't have this.
Hmm.
I have it. This is what you need. Take it with you. And
That's hilarious because I'm gonna do the absolute opposite. I'm gonna go buy the single issues. I'm not gonna let nobody touch them. I'm not, I'm not
put
gonna
it lock
Well,
them
no,
in
make
the
it even
away.
easy.
way.
Just borrow
Yeah,
George's.
right.
That's it.
Yeah,
No,
right.
no, I have to.
Yeah, yo,
I have to only.
appreciate it, man.
I not only I have to trade because if I get the trade, then I can let people read it. But I'm gonna go get those original issues. I'm
Those
Mhm.
gonna
original
find
issues.
those original 7 issues and hold on to
They're
those.
man, they're hard.
Yeah,
It's
it's
hard to
gonna be
find them.
hard. It's always fun. That's the fun of comic books for me is going back and being like, all right, it's time to pull out the old radar and find all 7 of these issues of
At
to
different
a powerbomb.
stores from different
Yeah,
states.
yeah, yeah.
Like I
Gotta,
think I think I have a copy of number 1,
yeah.
Yeah.
and I could only ever find like 3 and 5, and that's what made me just go. I guess I got to get the trade because there was a point in time, and even now, Image doesn't do very many second printings. Image kind of makes you go, look, if you buy it when it comes out, or wait for the trade. But
They figured out the gimmick because they used to do second printings a lot, but people
mhm.
with Image, there's a lot of speculator activity with Image. That number 1, they think they're gonna get a new Walking Dead, so that it's mixing that already fear. What is it? Fear of missing out or
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
FO
FOMO.
FOMO, FOMO.
FOMO? Yeah, it's mixing that and then creating a new level to it. Like, guess what? We're not even gonna reprint it. Figure that shit out.
What? Oh, I gotta get it. I gotta
No.
get it. Yeah, and then you find out, oh, it's canceled after 7 issues. Ah.
Damn it.
Got him.
One of the things I'm going to say up front, and I find I say this a lot for creator-owned comics, just because that just seems to be, what happens. But get this book because I cannot overstate the beauty and the artwork in it. There's so much really kinetic action scenes, really even facial reactions. Like everything in this is done, in my opinion, to perfection. They nail all of it. So even our thorough review of this is going to fall a bit short of the greatness of that it contains because all of it's
Yeah.
bled on the page. All of it, he left everything he could, just like a wrestler in the ring. He left everything he could on the page, and I think specifically of that cover of that first issue, that crossbody into the crowd. There's seemingly a sea of people, right? So many freaking people. You just have this one guy hitting that crossbody into the crowd. And it just kind of sets the stage. So let's go ahead and get into do a power bomb. Spoilers, everyone. Our story begins with a mysterious person watching the Tokyo Grand Heavyweight title match between Yua Steel Rose and Cobra Sun. The two bitter rivals hope to settle their differences in the squared circle, and backstage, before the bout, Yua is greeted by her adoring husband and her daughter, Lona. Her brother, who they call Uncle Blood, agrees to sit with Lona in the crowd while her dad goes to work. The couple share a kiss, and with her music playing in the background, Yua makes her way into the ring for her title bout. She does a classic babyface promo where she talks about loving the business and fighting for her family. Cobra Sun comes out and cuts a heel promo running Yua down, but when the bell rings, the time for talking is through. The two rivals do battle, and the highlights include Steel Rose hitting an enziguri, Cobra Sun throwing Yua into the crowd and hitting an Isai moonsault. When Cobra Sun tries to do his finisher off the top rope, he slips on the ropes. Yua lands on her head and is no longer moving. The match is stopped, and a tearful Lona is ripped from her mother's side as she is loaded into an ambulance. At the hospital, Yua Steel Rose is declared dead. What a hook for this thing. As soon as I saw the slip, I was like,
Yep.
oh,
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I've seen it a million times in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen it just like, and the fact that they went with that. You know how many wrestlers still in the back of their minds are haunted by the botch that ended someone's career damn near killed somebody, all that kind of stuff. This stuff is real and it happens in real life. The cliche is right. This is not ballet. But what do you think about this first hook, Yogi? This sort of, the setting of the scene here.
Like you said, as soon as I saw the slip, I was like, oh, she's either. I didn't think she was gonna die. Honestly, I thought she was gonna be like crippled in a wheelchair or something. But
yeah.
Before the hook, this is the issue where I realized this was gonna be different from other wrestling books that are out there. There's just something like it's not just the art and how good it is. It's like the perspective. If I don't know if you can get this perspective of like a Asai moonsault without being a wrestling fan, without knowing what angle you would want to see it from as a fan,
and how the camera would
TV.
move. Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah,
it's the moonsault into the crowd that I was like, yeah, this is incredible. This is awesome. And of course, I like the little intricate. I love that. I love the title belt. Like I collect belts. I have I have like 5 fucking belts. If they ever released this, what is it, Tiger Pro Wrestling or whatever the fuck?
No, it's Tokyo Grand Heavyweight.
Tokyo Grand Heavyweight. I would buy the shit out of this. I would buy this belt. I absolutely would.
You hear that, Daniel? You're leaving money on the table.
He is. He mentioned it in one of the letters pages. Someone had asked, and he's like, I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
maybe.
dope.
Yeah. But I don't think it's gonna happen. That's very expensive.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like nowadays to produce these things is relatively.
If you find the
3D printer,
get a 3D printer thing, but there's people overseas that make cheap belts.
Right. We'll leave it as vague as that. The cog. What did you think of? Yeah, what did you think of this hook as well? And does it hit as hard the second time around, knowing where it was going?
It does. It does. Just the way like you said, you can tell this was made by a fan. That fan perspective of watching your champion roll in, the way the crowd is reacting to her. She's coming in holding that belt. She's got that charisma just oozing off of her, that immediate crowd reaction that you can see, okay, she's the face. And then the way he rolls in as the heel, where he's just like, cut my music. You can totally feel that, like, oh, I'm watching a wrestling match. I'm not just reading a comic. I've just turned on Monday Night Raw and I'm watching the beginning of the show. Like, this is crazy. What's going to happen next? And then it hook. You think you're just gonna you're rolling into this. Okay, this is where the story begins. Are we gonna get like a flashback to how we got to this point? No, tragedy. Have fun with it. The character that you're obviously supposed to immediately fall in love with, we're gonna kill her.
Yes, he's gone now. He's absolutely gone now.
It's like, hey, remember Mufasa? We're gonna kill him.
But imagine that was the first 10 minutes of that movie. Changes the game. To talk about on the perspective angle, I love that shot of her raising the title belt, and then again, it's a fan. Streamers. She gets streamers, which is a very particular sort of wrestling tradition. It's not, mainstream there. And the fact that they did it here means it's been seen before. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, that shot is almost from as if you were sitting in the stands. She's above you with the championship belt, and the streamers come. It's the perspective of being in the crowd for something like that. And another thing is, on the second read for the notes, it's doubly heartbreaking because there's a moment in which you was going to say something and then she just doesn't. And her daughter says, "What's wrong, Mom?" And she's like, I just have everything I want. Like, I love wrestling and I love you guys. And I'm like, oh, this is not. Yep. It does not.
God was like, oh, okay, that means you're good.
Right.
All right, guess it's over.
Your life is that's it.
10 years later, we see that Lona has begun a career in pro wrestling against her father's wishes. And although she isn't winning, she loves what she's doing. She asks her uncle, who books her for his promotion, to train her, but he says that he promised her dad he wouldn't. Lona confronts her father, and the two trade harsh words about her future in pro wrestling, while the mysterious figure who was watching the match 10 years ago watches on in person. The man approaches Lona as she walks away with and with his magic powers, seemingly whisks her away to a gothic hellscape he calls home. He introduces himself as Willard Necroton, the Necromancer, and invites her to join a wrestling tournament he created where the winner not only gets a prize, but the resurrection of a loved one. Lona can get her mom back. Dun dun dun. Hell of a cliffhanger. And yeah, I don't trust this guy from hole in the
No.
wall, but I do like his I think Puro Wrestle shirt.
Yeah,
Jacket.
yeah,
He's got
yeah. The whole Budo Resu jacket.
uh
He's a
th-
he's a
yeah,
mark. I love
that's
it.
pretty cool. And again, I thought it was a bit cliche in the sense that you kind of have to go that way with the dad being like, oh, you know, and I forbid it, and I'm gonna do what I want anyway. But the turn we get in the next issue, I'm like, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
this is way better
Yeah.
than I thought here. But I loved, you know, the the stage is set. They set the stakes. They set the adventure, pure hero's journey moment right here, right? Not
Oh yeah.
everything changes from this moment on. So we get a bit of world building as Willard explains that his home exists on another planet, a planet he conquered in a great war. His enemies joined together and decimated his forces, but left him alive and alone. With nowhere to go and nothing to do, he found and fell in love with pro wrestling. He promises to bring Lona's mom back if she can win the Death Life Tag Team Tournament. Uh, and he brings her back where he found her and tells her to think about it. But if she was to say yes, she would need to find a partner. He hints that Cobra Sun might be interested as a way to pay for his sins. Again, I thought that was an interesting sort of, but she's like, no one even wants to train me. How am I going to find a partner? And he's like, I think I would know somebody. And I'm like, oh, the girl and
Mhm.
the person who killed her mom are going to tag for redemption. This is so cool. And it gets even better. What do you guys think of this setup here? This idea that Lona would have to ask seemingly a person she would hate to help her get her mom back. What do you think about that, Yogi?
I mean, it was pretty cliche stuff. I was down. I was happy with it. I was like, okay, I'm going to see where this goes. I was really taken by the details because he dropped her off in front of the. It's a real store in Japan that
Oh,
has
I
like
didn't know that.
yeah, it is the
Awesome.
store. They frequent the book too. I was wondering if you guys would recognize it. It's the I forgot what it's called in real life, but it's the place the pro wrestling and martial arts shop. And it has like the NWA championship belt design on top of the store. That's a
Yeah, I
real
saw that
place.
I saw that. I know.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this is sick. This person really likes Japanese wrestling there. I'm down. But beyond that, yeah, I was like, all right. I was still we hadn't reached a place where I was like, oh, this story's gonna take me. I was like, all right, it's a pretty normal stuff going on. But I was more taken by like the art style and just the knowledge of wrestling. By this point, I didn't know how good it was gonna get yet.
Did you suss any of this stuff out, Alex, when you read it, or was it all just
Oh
seeming kind of by the
well,
numbers?
I was sucked in by the characters because even after the scene where they pronounce Lona dead, I mean Yua, the mom dead, they cut real quick to this just quick 2-page flashback to Lona in bed with her daughter Yua, and it
Yeah,
just endears you more because it's like you just killed the super dynamic hero of the story, or the person you thought was going to be the hero of the story, and then you see her just having these tender mom moments with her daughter, and it just kills you even more. It's like, oh my God, not only was she just this awesome in-ring personality, but she's also obviously an amazing mom, wife, mother. So it makes it all the harder to digest. And then the first panel after you see her go through this heartache, she's getting whacked in the face in the
yeah,
ring, and it's almost it's her still going through the grieving process.
yeah,
She's still grieving her mom, which is totally understandable, completely understandable. If you've lost somebody, you know how much it sucks, and to lose
right.
someone when you're absolutely not ready to lose them when you're a kid like that, more often than not, you end up putting yourself through a lot. So to see her going through this, and then the whole time for me, I'm like, okay, where does the story go now? Okay, she's trying to become the wrestler her mom was, and no one wants to train her, right? Because that's just like, whoa, like we don't want to be.
Yeah,
You're kind of a little bit of a curse, and we're not trying to fulfill that tragic destiny that's probably set for you. Your mom died. It's probably,
I feel like Daniel Benoit is in a bit of the same same
Yeah, but I
situation.
feel like that.
yes.
I kept thinking like that's almost not even fair because like when I compared it to Daniel Benoit, I was like, well, when his father did, but like, her mother died. Like she
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
kill anybody.
Our mother didn't do anything wrong, and
She
that's
died.
a lot of where the pain is. Is like, why won't anyone let me do the thing I want to do because of an accident that happened with my mom? None of that makes
Yeah.
sense. That
Yep.
doesn't
Yep.
that doesn't
Right.
click, and you really don't know why, and it ends up getting revealed. But yeah,
Yeah. But once this supernatural element was introduced, that's where I had to choose to stay on the ride. Because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't initially hooked by that. I was like, I wanted to have a grounded
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
What's this
Same.
supernatural
I was
element
like, oh, okay.
that's being
right,
Yeah.
introduced here? I'm kind of not feeling this. But like Yogi just said, the art is amazing because just seeing that dynamic way he's just telling the story. I said, okay, it's only the first issue, and I know from what I've heard, it's a ride worth staying on. So let's see where this goes. Because I was also thinking, I was like, okay, is this all an illusion? Right?
all right,
Wrestling is all an illusion, correct? So I'm like,
right,
oh, this is just a trickster. Maybe this is a guy who just he's waving his magic hand. He's shooting his lightning from his glove.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. He's the wizard,
So
right? Wizard
he's
of Oz.
exactly
He's
exactly pay no
behind the
attention to the
curtains.
man behind pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Right.
Yeah. So boom, boom, boom. Gotta get a tag team partner. Speaking of Cobra Sun, he's doing death matches now. So Lona goes to see him. He's beaten to a bloody pulp in a fight that includes barbed wire, steel chairs, light tubes, and forks. Backstage, covered in scars, he's confronted by the promoter who pays him, but also tells him that this stuff is beneath him. Is this Daniel's take on deathmatch wrestling?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I know a lot of people who won't like this. I mean, though, like, I don't know because if
Eventually,
you
I think
watch,
it's redeemed a bit because
yeah,
his
because
skills
he
in this
wasn't,
helped him later on.
he's a fan, right? You can tell
Yeah,
later in the book, Lua, I forgot his fucking name. It's Lua. Is it Lua?
Lona.
Lona?
Yeah,
Lona's the daughter.
She's rocking a GCW shirt for the street fight. So
yeah.
like he likes this stuff, you know what I mean? But I guess
Hmm.
there is the idea that sometimes you're forced to do things like this instead of wanting to do things like this. Cause it's like even the guy who's booking the promotion says like, man, you
Yeah, and
used to do
I'm like, you put them in
yeah.
this. What are you doing?
It's like
You
what the
can't tell
fuck?
somebody, hey, I want you to kiss that cow and be like, wow, you're really doing a lot of crazy stuff lately. It's like you told me to do. You told me you do it. And you paid me. So I think that's funny, but also that there's a lot of that mentality again to reference something I talked about before in The Wrestler. There's quite literally you see Randy the Ram do a death match with Necro Butcher, and it's viewed on the outside as him doing lesser because of his current position in life. And then when you put on top of this the idea that Cobra Sun may not feel internally that he's worth anything more than just literally being ripped to shreds every night and then getting an envelope full of money for it, it just brings it all back around to this, trying to pay for your sins.
But
Um,
that but all that being said, like I hate to harp on it, but it really shouldn't be understated how he's able to express a death match
yeah.
in this book through his art. Like it's
I just think of that
visceral.
scene where you just see the scars on his back, where he's just sitting there, slumped over, and you just have all the scars on his back, and he's just waiting for his envelope. And I'm just like,
There's
damn.
that. There's some of that, which I mean, he could take right from Jun Kasai, right? In real life, like his
Yeah,
back
yeah,
really looks like that. But then there's
yeah.
something as simple as like the
The fork.
Kaneda dude, the chop, like the chop scene,
uh,
like he chops him. And it's like you.
Oh, and you
I'm
see
not
all the vibration
explaining.
on his
Look,
chest. It's
yeah,
just
it looks like it moved.
like,
Like I don't know
oh,
how
like
to. Awesome, awesome, awesome
the
stuff.
no, yeah, the way he's able to capture those motions is amazing.
Yep.
But I immediately saw this as one, this is the dude who killed the like Hulk Hogan of this world in
yeah,
the ring.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it like, okay, this is the only kind of match he can probably book, and it's like his penance, right?
yeah,
It's Easter, y'all. It's Easter. This is
yeah.
very like his
Oh,
back.
we'll get very godly very soon.
Oh
By the
yeah.
end of this
Oh, I know.
conversation.
I know. Oh, I know. But when you see what he's going through, he gets stabbed with a fork. He's getting raked by the what do they call them? What the spark tubes? What do they call
The
them?
light
Oh,
tube,
the light
yeah.
The
tubes.
light
Yeah,
tubes.
yeah.
But they gave it a different name. They didn't just call it like, oh, lightning. They called them lightning tubes. Right, right.
Lightning.
He's getting that raked, um and even the moves he's doing, you're like, man, this dude kind of wants to die, or is just ready to. I mean, because think about
Yeah,
it, you 10 years ago, you killed the Hulk Hogan of this world,
yeah.
and no one probably wants you around. So it's just like, yeah, we'll book you for a death match and hopefully see you die, so that way you can atone for your sins for killing, Miss Steel Rose.
Currently on NXT, there's a storyline where a wrestler is either for real or for fake taking a leave of absence because he can't stop injuring people by mistake. He's injured
That's
like
a
three people.
Don't get me started on that.
But you get what I'm saying. Like these things happen because whether or not he's actually leaving, that man does live with that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Big E
I
still
just
not back.
Sure.
Big E still hasn't returned, and he former world heavyweight champion, neck broken because of something that this man did. And
Yeah, and most
that's
and
just
most likely he's not.
yeah. Oh, not coming back, huh?
Yeah.
Fingers
Hey,
crossed.
That
well,
was good.
Someone needs to win
it's
a
his
tag team
own.
tournament in
It's
heaven.
got to be. It's up to his own mental now. Like according to him, he's like, I just got to figure this thing out. Like, do I want to
I
go back?
mean,
Like,
well,
like
I
it's
think
a
I
real
think
thing to be
maybe
scared of.
maybe
Yeah.
in time he can pull an edge if the healing, but it's not something you want to rush back. I don't see
No,
why he
no,
can't just come back and be the
commentary.
manager
Or
the
yeah,
manager for the New Day.
Yeah.
Because he's still great on the mic. He's still a personality. So I have no problem with him just coming out in a suit and just, oh,
I wonder
yeah,
if there's an
yeah,
issue. I wonder if there's an issue with
no,
restraint, right? It's like being at the party but not being able to drink, right? Like you
yeah.
you,
You
you
don't
get
want
to
to.
be there. You kind of want
Yeah,
to be a part of all of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But I do want him back in the business in some sort of capacity. But
Mhm.
that's why I like this storyline because it does show what happens when and how people feel about people in the business that they can't quote unquote trust because it's a business built on trust. That's the entirety of it, right? It's two people creating a performance, and the idea that people don't think they could trust Cobra Sun. Well, then I guess we'll just flog him. But Lona then enters and begins her pitch for the tournament, but Cobra Sun already knows because Willard approached him too. Even with the allure of avenging Yua's death, he declines the offer, saying Lona isn't up to snuff and she can get hurt. What I should say is both her and her uncle call her Green, which again, very insider wrestling term.
Mhm.
And it's kind of easy to understand where the root of that comes from. Green fruits, right? Not ripe enough, not ready,
Right.
et cetera and so forth. So thought that was funny that they called her Green. When she says she's going to do it with or without his help, he reluctantly agrees to join her in the tournament so she doesn't get hurt. Later, Lona's dad gives her a call, and even though she's vague, she tells him that she's not quitting pro wrestling. He hesitates but tells her to be careful, and suddenly it's revealed, bum bum bum, that Cobra Sun is Lona's father, Jacob.
That was great. That made me sit up. I was like, oh
That's what I'm
shit.
saying. Like that was like, oh, we doing this, we doing
Yeah.
this. Okay, cool. Because again, sometimes you want exactly what you expect because it's the only thing that's going to make sense in a story, right? The hero's going to win at the end. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what happens. I'm kind of sort of expecting that. I wasn't expecting this, and I wasn't even focused on this because she walks away from Cobra Sun, and then the next panel is the phone call with her dad, almost displacing them in two different, fucks with your
Yeah.
head. It's almost saying that these are two different people, and then immediately, the shoe gets dropped. Alex, can you remember how you felt when you first found out?
Oh, this is what got me hooked. Right after the whole supernatural element, I was like, I was a little sour. And then once we get to this reveal, for me, I didn't see it coming. This
Same.
was because the book does such a good job up until that point of just hiding that. Like, oh no, like you just said, right? She just walked away from her father.
Yeah.
So the fact that like now you're seeing him as Cobra's son, you're like, oh, what? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like it's bad enough that she knows this dude is responsible, even accidentally killing her mom.
Hmm.
How much is that weighed on this dude? And now it makes sense why he's doing these death matches. Where
Yeah.
it's like this is how he's grieving it, right? She's
Yeah.
grieving it by putting herself through the ringer trying to become her mom. He's grieving it by basically saying, look, she died in the ring. And I think deep down inside, he's probably thinking, I deserve to die in the ring, which is
Yeah.
why he's doing this. I mean, you remember, like you said, that scene where you could just see his back is raked. I mean, this dude is getting stabbed with forks. He's doing crazy, one of his moves is called what do we call it? This suicida?
Oh, the Tope
Is what
Suicida.
Oh, Tope
yeah,
Suicida, yeah.
yeah, which is his suicide dive. This is a dude who's like just like, yo, I deserve to die.
Yeah.
So seeing this happen now, you're like, wow, okay, all right. Now for me, that was just like, whoop, hook, you got me. All right, here we go. Where are we gonna go from here? Let's go.
You mentioned what is basically the core tragedy of this story, which is this idea that you have two family members dealing with a massive loss, and they're almost not allowed to mourn together. They're almost not
No,
allowed to get through it together because now all the cards are on the table. The secret has created a wall between the two, and neither one is really dealing with it all that well, and they need each other. They'll get to that point eventually as a family, but
yeah,
that's the gap that they're falling in right now. But yeah, this idea that, and I think one of the little pieces of magic, in very similar to like the Superman, how they say they draw Superman and how they draw Clark Kent kind of stuff.
hmm
Jacob is never shown to be a physical marvel, where Cobra
no,
Sun is
Yeah.
this like
no,
rippling,
and just
rippling,
boom.
Yeah, yeah.
god of a man. And I think that also plays in your head. You don't go, okay, that guy's that guy, kind of stuff. And then it just, the moment that, like, it's like one of those things where a good reveal, you'll then look back and all the breadcrumb trails are there, right? And so the cool part about this was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go sit with you in the audience because your dad has to go to work. He's not gonna be around to watch the match.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
dad's not
Yeah.
gonna be here for the match, and like all that stuff. They were essentially keeping kayfabe. They were
right,
keeping kayfabe
right.
for their daughter, and ultimately thus creating this huge secret here. Uh, but speaking of Jacob, he meets with Uncle Blood and they discuss the promise Blood made Jacob after you had died of not training Lona. Blood tells Jacob that he should let Lona know that he's Cobra's son, but Jacob says Lona won't understand. He leaves after telling Blood he's going somewhere far, but when he comes back, he might be able to bring Yua back. What do you guys think of these two and their sort of strained brotherhood, I guess you would call it? Like, this can't be easy.
I can't. I mean, he basically killed his sister. I mean, and he knows it's an accident. So there's no like suspicion, like, oh, I hate you because I think you did so. It's like, God damn it, I hate you, but I know you hate yourself. It's like it's a whole mix of you can't really even imagine. You can only, you know,
Yeah. Is forgiveness possible at that point? Is that a bridge that people can cross?
I think it's a different. It's you live because it's not like you're carrying like an actual like a full on hatred either. Like or at least
Yeah.
Uncle Blood isn't. Like
Yeah.
um. So I mean, he might have forgiven him already. It's just you can't. There's enough feelings you can
You
really
won't
let
forget.
go.
You can't forget. You might have
Yeah,
forgiven, but you can't forget. What's your
yeah.
read on this relationship, Alex?
It's a tough relation to have. I mean, you're staring at your sister's killer, but you can't do anything about it. Because you
He's
you
your
want to
sister's
say
killer
no,
and your niece's father.
Yeah.
right, but I think this is one, it adds a level of drama just from the comic book base, but it also lends itself to that level of extra drama for a wrestling match, right? Because
Yeah.
how often do we like to have I mean, look what's going on right now with the bloodline against Cody Rhodes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you want to have all those extra little
Layers.
feuds, right? Layers to this. So the fact it's already bad enough they have this separated relationship in that they can't share in their mourning totally and what they've lost and how they both genuinely feel. But now you're throwing in the Usos or
Yeah.
the
Solo.
solos
So
by having this other person, also beaming, looking at you like, bro, I watched you kill my sister and you can't even
right.
admit it to my niece. The nerve of you,
Yeah.
it just adds to
I didn't even
those
think about that
levels of
last
drama.
part that you just mentioned because that must really take him over. Like, you still haven't taken responsibility to your daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like that's kind of sort of huge. And no matter what you
Hmm.
say, everything's gonna sound like I'm just trying to save face. No matter literally,
Right.
no matter what you say, everything just sounds like I just don't want her to see me as that. And that
Right.
is what you are, kind of, maybe, sort of. I don't know if that defines you completely, but yeah, it really does add some very interesting layers. Cobra's son meets with Lona and they travel to the mystical Death Life tournament. At registration, they are given the name Sun and Steel as a team name, and Cobra Sun immediately goes to the Broken Blade Ale House for some rematch, for some pre-match
Yeah,
libations.
yeah.
And
Rematch
again,
against the alcohol.
and then it was like the Broken Blade. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty. I like that.
Right.
Um, so, yep, he's trying to get tipsy. There, one of the patrons attempts to punch a puppy in the face, which might be the most evil act a person can commit. Maybe a baby's up there, but a
It
puppy's
definitely
definitely, yeah,
it definitely an immediate like movie trope, right? In the
yeah.
movies, you save the cat, you're the hero, you kill a dog,
You kick a
a
dog,
la
kill a dog, yeah,
John Wick. It's just like, yo, this is the villain. You gotta hate this person. There's no redeeming this person. You just want to see them die.
yeah, yeah. Kicking a puppy. Um, but Lona hits them with a roundhouse, pretty good roundhouse too, for good
Hmm.
measure.
Who kicks
This
a
called
dog? You
who
guys
kicks a
even
dog? Yeah. This causes a bar brawl between Sun and Steel and a team known as FISO, which we end up figuring out it stands for "Fuck Your Stupid
Your
Opinions."
stupid opinions.
And then I'm like, and then I'm like, "Fuck Your Stupid Opinions" is a very long team name, and FISO is not even a word. And then I'm like, "The Mighty Don't Kneel." Fear
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
revolution.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm like, it's all there. What am I? I'm arguing against tropes in my own medium.
FISO.
FISO. I'm arguing against tropes
Hmm.
in my own medium. That's where I've landed on this. Um, this is where they find out that some of the teams come from other worlds. Another fun
Yeah.
fact: it turns out that Earth is the only planet where pro wrestling is preordained. An amazing Jordan, I mean, a shooter drop in this story.
Not just pre
That now,
not just
yeah,
preordained, but it's quote unquote fake.
yeah, yeah. They believe that no one's actually doing any of the moves there. So basically, our heroes are in a real life wrestling tournament, seemingly to the death, or as close as you can get. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, that completely changes the game. Everyone in this tournament will be doing these moves for real. Before things get dire, our heroes are saved by a pair of talking orangutans called the Orangabangs. Not only are they polite, but they are also Stun and Steel's first round opponents. They are here in the tournament to save their sister and warn that they will not hold back in their match with them tomorrow. Um, all of this is comic book ridiculousness that I love. Literally fighting
Yeah.
orangutans in a bar. Like what are we doing? Like what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Um, so they are here in the realizing that they're in quite literally in a fight for their lives. Sun and Steel say that they're going to up their game. The tournament starts and the stadium is packed with fans across time and space. We look at the brackets and we have 8 total teams: Sun and Steel, the Orangabangs, FISO, Pizza Party, the Lucha Bots, who I really wanted to see in action, to be honest. Puro
I was
Pack.
really upset. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm just
Yeah,
really upset that we don't get to see all of these tag teams fight because I'm like,
yeah,
what? Some of these teams are like, what?
yeah, totally. Um, the Lucha Bots, Puro Pack, the Knights of Rhine, and the Devil Doers. Our heroes make their entrance, and the match starts with a stiff dropkick to Sun. Even as he's getting beaten on, he won't tag in Lona. He takes a lariat and a tandem German suplex neckbreaker combo and almost loses before Lona breaks the count. Hesitant, Sun finally makes the tag, and one flying knee and a moonsault later, and Sun and Steel are our winners. They apologize to the Orangabangs, and we are shown that the Knights of Rhine, who have also advanced by beating Pizza Party with a shatter machine, they are Sun and Steel's next opponents. Again, kinetic
Man,
energy, kinetic
the oh
wrestling is fantastic.
when the orangutan hits that lariat, you feel it.
Yeah,
Like the way his fist is just coming through the page
yeah,
and Cobra Sun is just eating it. Like It's not even, and not, and he's not selling it because he's eating it because this is real wrestling now, folks.
Yeah.
And it's just so dynamic. And then watching her hit that moonsault, the backflip, it was just so much fun to watch. What do you got, Yogi?
It well, no, I was pointing at her moonsault because I have it on top of my head, but
Yeah.
it
Oh,
has
there it is. There it
it
is.
has such a heavy the whole story has such a I don't know. I know there's like a heavy wrestling influence, but I'm also picking up on some real big anime influence. I don't know if I gotta look this guy up, but there's some clear anime tropes here beyond just the wrestling stuff. Like the tournament arc. Like this whole book is just a tournament arc. It's a full on anime tournament
Yeah.
arc. The
Yeah.
bring my dead mother back to life thing. All these
Yeah.
things are
Yeah.
like
You're right.
yeah.
This could
I
have been a
think
tournament of power.
I think one of the people that I think the dude her father is wrestling in the death match is named after like an Akira character.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
it's awesome. This like a straight this should
It's
be an
all
anime.
our
This
fandoms,
should
yeah.
be someone
It
should
would be so
show
good.
this to one of the studios in Japan because they would is this art style, man. I don't know if an American animation company could do this. Like at best you'd get something that looks like Invincible. And that would do a huge
You you you
disservice
you
to
just took it out of my
this.
mouth. You just took it out of my mouth because I was like, "Yo, Amazon, if
You
they could do
know,
it." But
they would do it. And like that's the best that we could get. But I meant like it would look so clean and streamlined that it would never capture this energy in this
Yeah.
book.
Fun fact: the orangabangs do a move called Attenborough's Cradle. I think it's called Attenborough's Cradle. That's named after David Attenborough, who used to study orangutans.
perfect, perfect,
And
perfect.
and like I said, when I saw the Knights of Rhine do the Shatter Machine, basically FTR's finishing
Yeah.
move, but to the extreme where the actual jawbreaker smashes the jaw of the rat
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he
yeah.
does it to, like quite literally forces the knees through the man's mandible.
And hey,
I'm
I don't know
like,
about you,
damn,
but
that looks good.
as a New Yorker though, I got really offended by that New York. You could
Oh,
tell
the
it's
New York
totally New York
slice. He tried to hit him with a
The
New
New
York
York,
slice.
Dodged it. Sorry.
he dodges it, and then
One of
did you
them,
catch? Did
one
you?
of them's a rat.
One of them's a rat, but did you catch the name of him?
No,
His name is Racket.
that's
Our
terrible.
rat.
It's
That's
like,
horrible.
oh, just giving that marble jab, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
a racket.
Hey,
Racket
look,
Rat beat Rocket Raccoon. Here you go.
Racket
Absolutely
I'm
Rat.
not a
ridiculous.
rat. I'm not a rat.
It's a great
Pizza rat.
wrestling name. That's a great wrestling name. The Racket Rat.
The
Yeah.
racket
Oh
rat.
my.
Yeah, really cool stuff here. And you know what's like it's the little it's very similar. It's the little moments in this book, just little moments in comics, little moments in wrestling that really make things. They didn't have to show Sun and Steel apologizing to the Orangabangs. They understand how much the Orangabangs wanted to win this match for their loved one. Everyone in this
Mhm.
has something, on the line. And even though they won, they apologize to their opponents, which is it endears them to me more. It makes me want to root for this team more because even though they're in pursuit of getting Yua back, they don't necessarily want to take away the dreams or break the hopes of anyone else in the process. Really cool stuff.
No, definitely, because and that's not just good storytelling for us, but that's just good wrestling as well, right? That's good wrestling storytelling, right?
Yeah.
You want the fans to love you. Well, what better way than wow? I mean, to
Yeah.
me, for me, that's like classic ROH. That's classic ROH where it's like, yeah, we're wrestling, but we have a respect for one another. And as much as I want to win, I don't want to see you lose, kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that they were able to just quickly show that where she's like, I'm happy I won, but I'm sad for your loss. But I miss
I,
my mom too.
I don't think we get enough of that in American pro wrestling now. Like enough
No.
real like emotional moments. Like I mean, once in a while, a guy wins a belt and he tears up, or somebody's actually dying.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
they, like I have like cancer or something. Like oh fuck, that's really sad. But like
Right.
you see it more in like Stardom with like the girls, and probably because it's they're more empathetic. But there's like moments like this where you're like I'm crying, but I beat you, but I'm crying with you because I'm so sorry I had to do this to you. Like this is
Yeah.
horrible, but I had to do this for me. You need things. I love that. We need
That's a
more of
third
that
dimension.
in
Yeah.
wrestling, man.
Adds a whole nother dimension to everything. And I think it's because a lot of American pro wrestling has lost the ability to make the matches the main event. Everything was supposed to serve the match back in the day. Now everything serves kind of the promo, the story, I guess,
Yeah.
more than anything else. And that's just changed how they layer this stuff. It's almost like the match is the last thing. Quite
Yeah.
similarly, I don't really. This might be sound crazy, but it's not like I'm 100% stoked for this tag team match at WrestleMania that's going to go down. I just want to see what happens after that it goes down, and that's the way that they have educated their fans to
That's the way
watch
they
their
yeah.
product 100%. And
The
so
way
when
they
those
tell their
fans watch
stories
other
too, yeah.
products, yeah. So when the fans watch other products and they don't serve it in that same way, they don't serve the plates all together in the same 3-course meal, they get agitated about it. What kind of
I
restaurant
don't
is
like
this?
this. I don't like this. Where's my
Yeah.
burger? They served me a fucking mashed potatoes and instead I don't want this.
I
That's
can't eat
exactly
this
what it is.
plate. What's going on here? Yeah. So we flash back to a year before the tournament as the planet Willard is marooned on. On the planet that Willard is marooned on. The king there demands that the Knights of Rhine enter the tournament to resurrect his greatest warrior who died fighting Necroton. The two begin to train for the tournament in an epic montage. In present day, Sun and Steel meet to train, and Lona finds out that Sun and her mom used to tag before they became bitter rivals. They would hit their opponents with a powerbomb clothesline combo called the Sword Sunrise, and were an impressive duo. Lona asks to learn all of their old combos, and they train in their own epic montage.
That was cool. It just said another montage.
Another montage. Yeah.
I could totally hear that. I don't know if it was in
Montage.
South Park. Yeah, the song
Yeah.
montage. We need a montage.
Yeah.
Montage.
Right. And then again, like that's another, professional wrestling. That montage stuff is straight out of 80s movies. Professional wrestling was at almost one of its biggest booms in the 80s. Like all of this stuff just kind of links up. It's a match made in heaven with some of this stuff. So yep, got another montage. So even with these new skills, the Knights are still incredibly formidable. Things look dire when they hit a shatter machine on Lona, but she manages to kick out at the last minute, which causes the crowd to erupt. The Knights turn up the heat, but Lona invokes her mother's legacy and powers through with a huge lariat of her own. I was trying to see if her foot was forward to call it a Rainmaker. She works together with Cobra Sun, and after a tag, a German, another wrestling trope that's super inside, a blind tag. She gets a blind tag by touching her father's back, and a top rope elbow drop. They secure the victory. Sun does a tope suicida to stop the other Knight from interfering. Again, like you have to watch a tag team match to know why he's doing that. That's very much was that what Ray Phoenix used to do every time?
Yeah, just that body. Well,
like while Penta's pinning, just running through, just jumping over the top rope.
They both been known to just take the 100%.
Because I'm like, where's he going? He's going. He's going. He's going through the ropes.
He's got to stop that interference.
Yeah.
Which I also like. I just from a parent standpoint, also this is like, all right, he's giving up everything for his daughter here.
Yeah.
So I really like seeing that. But yet she still doesn't know. She still doesn't know, and so much is happening.
100%. He's watching his daughter wrestle like her mom. Like he's watching his daughter for the first time. Well, not the first time, they had a match previous, but like she's getting beat up and he can't do anything about it. He has to allow his daughter to fight her own battles. Eventually get tagged in, eventually help, but ultimately be left to her own devices and show that she's capable, which is huge, right? You want your children to be capable. You want to believe that you instilled them with enough wisdom and strength that they can handle things on their own, but you don't necessarily want them to feel like they have to, right? So I like that, the idea that tag team partners rely on them, on each other, but also family does, and just how they're merging those two themes together is really, really cool.
Yeah, and I like how you said, like, she earlier in the story where she endears herself more to the fans by empathizing with the fact that they lost and they won't be able to bring back their loved one. And here when her mom, when they're flashing back to her mom, when she's basically telling Cobra's son, this is how you become more loved by the fans. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And her daughter has that naturally. It's almost like
Innate. Yeah.
it's like it's a genetic trait. Like, oh, this is what her mom was telling about that her daughter is already doing, and then therefore even setting up the tag team finisher that eventually her and her father are gonna do.
Yeah.
So
Which is
I
super
just
cool.
this storytelling is just so great, and it just like at this point I've already forgotten about the even possibility of this being an illusion. I'm just totally into just watching these matches and watching their bond grow, which is awesome.
Yeah. We find out through the letter pages that Daniel Warren Johnson got into professional wrestling through the G1, a tournament held by New Japan Pro Wrestling, which again is incredibly inside. You have to look for that kind of stuff. It's not going to be on the front page of your YouTube, you know. And
Mhm.
while rallying up and hulking up. Well, hulking up, we'll use the term, is quite prevalent in American professional wrestling. This scene is fighting spirit. This is, what the Japanese wrestling centers itself on. That the heart is what pulls through in these matches. It doesn't matter about your size. It doesn't matter about any other strikes against you. If you have the heart, if you have the passion, you can power through. That's how she kicks out of the move. That's how she's able to get back up, and that's how she's able to get all through this. Do you agree, Yogi?
No, she's no selling. No, that's what you. No, that's the kind of criticism you hear, and you always hear it from people who just can't. You've never experienced it, so you can't understand it. You've never felt the rush as a fan that you get
Adrenaline,
with
yeah,
something
man.
like that. Like,
Yeah.
you feel that shit too, man. And when it's done right, you feel the energy at home. It's such a special like
Mhm.
feeling. I can't really
Oh,
explain it, but this comic,
I'm the Luna, Steel
yeah,
Rose, daughter of, daughter of you are Steel Rose. I'm like,
yes,
yeah, I'm like, let's get
it's
it.
so good. It's so good. This tag match they did. Is it this match or the other match where they hit the fuck my life. I
Shadow
never
Region?
mind. I was
Oh,
talking about something that's I was talking about something that's about to happen. So
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I have the book
It's
up just in
Okay,
case.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's get there. So, our duo relishes in victory, but not for too long, as the next matchup is coming up, and it's Fuck Your Stupid Opinions versus Puro Pack, who are a team from Earth. What's more shocking is one of the masked members is revealed to be Uncle Blood, who joined the tournament to get his sister back. Boom, boom, boom.
Did we take this too far? I felt like we stepped one ahead. Like we didn't need to do this.
A little bit, but the
Like
fact that it
that.
wrap a little bit, but the fact that
Yeah.
it wraps up here is the best because
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
another story in which they beat FISO and it's Blood and this stranger against Yua and for the same person. And that I think would have just been too much in this. Um, just showing how much Yua means to all these family members, right? Where
Mhm.
now three of them are
Yeah.
in this sort of death tournament, if you will. I thought that was well done, but I was very curious to see how it would play out. And again, Daniel Warren Johnson knows how to make some heels because we're about to get to some
Oh
very,
yeah.
very heelish
Mhm.
stuff here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I like that they brought the brother back into the story to kind of bring his story full circle where you're trying to figure out, well, how much on your brother-in-law side are you and what he's going through, and how it also helps to push and raise the stakes of of Yua and and Cobra Sun's story. So I
yeah.
like where it goes from here, and I like that it's quickly just because I was worried also. I was like, oh no, don't tell me I got to worry about them like facing off in the
Yeah. Yeah.
finals,
Right. Yeah.
but that's quickly changed up.
And the thing is, like, Blood had no hand in her death. So the idea that he's been for 10 years powerless over these events, and he's just trying to take a little bit of that power back. He legitimately gets interrupted before he can say that this is his fight. You know, it's his sister. This is his fight.
Like, no, it's
So
not.
no,
No,
it's
it's not.
instantly. Um, uh, Unfortunately, FISO is just too great of a team. They make fast work of this team, and they beat them by causing Blood to submit. Adding insult to injury, they won't let.
he doesn't submit.
He passes out.
Knock him out. He passes out. He never taps.
He stopped. They stomped his neck. They did like an FU type thing.
Well, no, they make him go unconscious, which the referee then calls the match, and then afterwards they
he won't release
they're
the hold.
heels.
No, because it's double. Because before they put him unconscious, they do this move to him with it's like an FU, and they jump off the top rope and they stomp his neck into the ground.
Yeah.
Then they put him unconscious. Then they do the other like a split.
And then they crack his neck. Yeah,
a guillotine neck drop. And again, he just came in and it's like, this is my fight, and just gets
like 3
mollywopped. Mollywopped.
You are not the main character of the story, man.
Like I said, they won't let go of the hold. And again, not letting go of the hold. Extremely inside heel tactic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You would have to have seen that to know that that's something that heels do. I specifically, I specifically think of Benoit. I think of 10 people trying to get Benoit off of the crossface and they can't do it. He's got it locked in. Faiso hits a top rope leg drop that incapacitates him. AMTs are brought in because blood is not moving, and backstage it is confirmed that he is alive but has a broken neck. Necroton says he can heal him, but it will take time. Lona demands Faiso get disqualified, but they add too much spectacle to the show.
Sorry, buddy.
I love that. Because quite literally, we are constantly talking about people in the backstage that may not necessarily be getting along with other people, but the excuse is, hey, they make us money. We keep them around, keep these jerks around because they make us money. Fed up with everything, Cobra's son reverts to his deathmatch roots, grabs a barbed wire steel chair and some light tubes, and promises to show Faiso how real they can be. So, things have definitely gone up a notch. Cobra Sun demands their match be a tag team falls count anywhere death match, and after some hesitation, Necroton agrees. Lona seems nervous, but Cobra Sun assures her that they will work together. The final match in the Death Life tournament begins, and it is a bloody affair with barbed wire, topes, chains, low blows, top of the ladder sentons. At one point, they have Cobra Sun in a Boston Crab as he's laying in a pile of thumbtacks. That should be a Renaissance painting, the way they drew that. I'm like, gosh. You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say this is why I noticed she was rocking a straight up GCW shirt.
Yeah, and they have street fight clothes on. They have they
do. I love that so much. This is a street fight, so she got the jeans on. She's dressed pretty much exactly like fucking Nick Gage. You know what I mean?
Right.
Incredible stuff. Did you notice he gives a match recommendation at the end of every issue?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he does. He so far, I'm trying to find a list. I was keeping a list. He's done Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros ladder match, All Out 2019. Rey Mysterio versus Jushin Liger.
That one I remember. Yeah, that one I remember. The Jushin Liger one.
Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito, G1 Climax Finals. And I missed one. So we're on issue 5. We're on issue 5. That means there should have been 4. And
right.
But it's really cool.
That's upsetting because I don't think that's in the trade.
That's partly why I always want to get the original issues, not just because the letter page, just because the trade gives them time to take things out and change things.
Yeah.
Very, very upsetting.
So
didn't realize that
they at one point so Luna gets a chain thrown at her and wraps around her forearm and clotheslines her opponent. They set up for their tandem finisher, but one of the members of Faiso rips Cobra Sun's mask. Again, another very heel tactic that has been done a million times to luchadors, because that's going to cause a distraction instantly. So they rip Cobra Sun's mask. Lona realizes that she's been tagging with her father this entire time. This distraction allows Faiso to pick up the win after knocking Lona out with a light tube. We get a flashback that shows how Faiso became a team to avenge their respective deceased children. Thing is, only one of them gets to bring their child back. They are declared winners, but turn face to face to each other as they agree to fight to the death to see who gets their wish. Necroton is shocked. And I'm like, bro, you had none of this? You didn't know none of this? You didn't
He's like,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
not
I
my
quite
problem.
like
so
how it all gets away from him by the end of this. Like I quite like that. This is his tournament. He's promoter. By the end of this, he has no power over anything that's going on anymore.
yeah, no, this is to me. This reminds me very much of like when Teddy Long would be in charge of something. All
Yeah.
right, brother. You're gonna
Tag
face the
team match?
Undertaker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna face the Undertaker, and then by the end of the night, he's just like, I took the monster out of the box, and it
I
might
couldn't
kill
put
me.
it back in.
Never mind.
But all the wrestling tropes that I'm loving here is where, like I was saying before, now they have reason to escalate the matches, which is such a classic wrestling thing, right? Where it's like,
Right.
oh, you hurt my manager, you hurt my brother, so now I'm challenging you to a Hell in the Cell, Fire, TLC, crazy, super amazing match because I gotta get revenge on you for what you just did. And this is just classic wrestling, what's going on. And then to see what else is classic in tag teams, right? The rise of a tag team, and what does everybody want to see? The fall of a tag team. These two immediately turn on each other.
Yeah.
But they planned it. They said, look, if we want it, only one of us is going to get the wish. Only one of us is going to get it. So we got to kill each other to determine who that gets that. Yeah. So this is just classic wrestling storytelling.
I kind of didn't realize this was the finals of the tournament. I was like, oh shit. It's over. Right. Oh wow. And I didn't expect them to lose for some reason. If I had realized this was the finals, I might have been on the lookout for it, but I didn't see it coming. I didn't thought. So that was an interesting little twist.
It speaks to two different things, right? It speaks to one, I think that at the core, professional wrestling should be about, and you've heard this from many people, the adulation of victory and the heartbreak and agony of defeat. That's ultimately what it needs to be. If you're winning, but it doesn't make you happy, then the win doesn't mean anything. If you're losing and it doesn't make you mad, then the loss doesn't mean anything. So I love that just the same way we celebrated them and they celebrated themselves when they won. My heart sank when they lost this. When I read 1, 2, 3, very similar, I could almost hear it.
Yeah.
I could almost hear the count. 1, 2, 3. It's wrap. It's over.
And like, whoa, no kick out, no interference.
They just lost.
They lost.
They just lost. So that there's that. But towards the end, there's a beautiful monologue about the predetermination of both life and professional wrestling. And it's this idea, and we're talking right now with all the Cody stuff about, right, finishing your story, et cetera, and so forth. I think it's really interesting that this is almost a meta take on that conversation, because they lost, so on paper, their story is over. But the story's never over in wrestling. It's always in the middle. Mm-hmm. There's always more to go. There's always another path to take. So, and the question remains, in this book and in wrestling, what the hell's gonna happen next? Where we left off, what the realm of possibilities opens. What's gonna happen next? Our next issue begins with a flashback to the night Yua died. Uncle Ben slaps Jacob for the botched move that killed his sister and insults him before leaving. We go back even further to see how Yua was in the crowd at a show Jacob wrestled at, where he did a perfect shooting star press DDT.
That move was amazing.
It was amazing like in art, right?
In art, you could totally see it happen when he when he plants the DDT part. I'm just like, how did he do that? And I'm sitting there going, it's art.
Awesome.
It's a draw. I'm not watching this, but his art translates so well that I'm like, yo, I need to see this happen.
It's hard to explain because he has perfect technique in a still image.
It's the super version, because I've only ever seen one per move, and it's and I never thought of it like off like balcony, like this just insane wrestling fan thing, man. Like a shooting star press off the balcony into a DDT. Trust me.
Even the dude he's hitting it on is sitting there going, dude, you crazy, what are you doing?
Yeah. And that dude looks like he's ripped. That dude looks like he's like a stereotypical NJPW. Like they just kind of made like a pastiche black tights, just like plain black tights,
Yeah.
plain short black hair.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's it. And I love that in this, whenever anyone's jumping off of anything, they show it as if it's 100 feet in the air.
Yeah,
When
we're
Luna-
always given we're always given the fans' perspective. It's rarely from like that third person over the shoulder view, making you feel like you're the wrestler. We're
Yeah.
the fans. We're watching it, so it's like looking up and being like, "Oh my God, he's 800 feet in the air!" Like it's amazing. It's amazing.
Really, really
Such
well
a,
done.
such a great love story there. That's how I met your mother. Shooting
Yeah,
star
right?
press DDT,
DDT.
off the balcony. That's how you get the hose.
I respect and love a woman who sees a man do a shooting star DDT and goes, "I'm going to give that man a baby." That's what it is decided. It is predetermined. That's what's going to happen. Shooting star press DDT. They meet up afterwards, and she says that she's a talent scout for Tokyo Grand Pro Wrestling. Cobra only has 2 years in the game, but he shows enough promise for Yua to give him some career advice. This is that baby face stuff we were talking about earlier about working on his crowd work. We also learned that he's a legacy. That's his comic books, right? The mantle was passed on to him. Cobra's son was his father. Given the mask, now he has the pressure on him, and he seemingly. She says he's wrestling like a man with something to prove. And we deal with that all the time with comic book characters taking on each other's mantles and having to prove themselves not only in universe but out of universe to the fans.
She should have known that. She said she was a talent scout. Why did she not know?
Right?
Why did she not know that he got his mask from his father? That should be like
That's also true.
That's what ran through my head when he said that. I was like,
I'm saying it was from that underground wrestling circuit, man.
It's never. I think he's lying. He's lying.
He's creating. He's manifesting his own backstory. My great grandfather has been wrestling with this thing for 13 generations.
Yeah.
Like no, we're fairly certain you bought that from Amazon.
Yes, we have the receipt.
A year ago.
we have the receipt. I think it's interesting also that again, like, remember when I said the whole thing about the deathmatch thing? Like, is that what Daniel Warren Johnson thinks is whatever? Is Daniel Warren Johnson's perfect wrestler a Mexican, Canadian, Japanese?
Yes, I mean the perfect. That's like that is probably the perfect formula, like the Powerpuff Girls. A little bit Canada, a little bit of Mexico,
a little bit of the dungeon,
Japanese,
right? A little bit of the dungeon, a little bit
Dungeon.
of
and he's gonna marry a Native American woman.
Yeah.
Go.
And I thought she was like Japanese.
No
one is Japanese. No one is Japanese in this story. They're just all randomly in Japan. This is incredible. They got no connections to Japan. Who let all these gaijin in here? No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! And now, if you really connect that, they really do that. They really get gaijin to scout other gaijin to bring into the company like that. That's what she's
Is she
doing
not? Are you sure she's not Japanese?
I'm not 100%
check
sure.
this out.
I mean, the names to me come across very Native American.
Yeah, it could be. No, I mean,
Steel Rose.
I feel like Steel Rose sounds Native American. I feel like Yua sounds Japanese.
Maybe
she's half Native American, half Japanese. Oh, we gotta ask.
Well, also, Manami Toyota versus Aja Kong was the recommendation for the last issue. I think they might be. I think they might be Japanese women. They're dressed like they used to wrestle in all Japan women's wrestling.
Yua is a Japanese name.
There we go. Nice.
There it is.
I literally just typed in U.S. Steel Rose nationality, and I didn't come up with a lot of good stuff, is what I'll say. Literally, the second choice says China's policy towards minority nationalities. I don't know why that popped up. Very strange. She basically scouts him. In present day, Lona is being put on a stretcher while Faiso does their best to absolutely kill each other. When their fight threatens to spill out and hurt Lona, Cobra Sun hits one with a devastating tombstone on the outside.
That was so
Oh man,
sick.
that
I was
was.
telling
See,
that
oh,
the WrestleMania 25 finish, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, the moonsault into the
That
tombstone.
that's
I
how
was like,
Shawn
oh
Michaels lost.
shit,
He did a moonsault. They caught him in Tombstone, and it was a wrap.
that's
So yeah, he's
awesome.
taking it.
wow! I totally forgot about that. That's
Yeah,
dope.
he's taking it straight from he's putting good references. So he leaves with Lona while Faiso continues to maim one another. Backstage, a doctor tells Jacob that Lona will be fine. She's just banged up. She comes to, and Jacob apologizes for keeping the secret, but Lona comforts him, and there's no love lost. Gentlemen, was this too fast?
I thought it was fine. I didn't want to deal with the whole
You
oh, why
betrayed me.
didn't
You
you
lied to
tell
me.
me? You
Yeah,
betrayed me because that's so fucking like every that's such a movie reaction. You know, like,
yeah,
oh, you lied to me, you betrayed me. I love that she was smart enough to be like, I understand why you wouldn't want to tell me. I wouldn't want to tell me. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy,
yeah.
you know. I'm glad that we did that. Yeah.
How'd you feel about it, Alex?
Well, I love the fact that they didn't go full on through the trope where she just immediately understands. Where it's just like, I kind of like wish you would have just told me this.
Yeah,
And even though he's feeling bad, like, oh my God, like you're seeing the true face of your mother's killer now, and worse off, it's your father's. She's just like, yeah, but you're still my dad. I love you regardless.
yeah,
It's just like I really wish you would have just told me this. It would have saved both of them a whole lot of grief. But
yeah,
it's I think it's just a human nature. This is not wrestling. This is not comics. This is to me. This is just people.
right.
Right? I mean, how many times do you feel responsible for something that you don't want to confess to because you feel like in confessing it'll make it worse? When in
Yeah, he's built this
actuality,
thing up in his mind. He's probably had a million different outcomes to how this secret either spills out or how she's going to react to it. And I don't even know if this was ever on his radar, that she might just be like,
yeah,
I still love you. You're my dad, you know?
hmm yeah,
And
and that's exactly what
again,
happens.
again, she's a complete white meat baby face. Yes, not like she's still doing stuff to endure to us, the viewer in the stands. She just keeps doing stuff to get that pop. She's on her Cody Rhodes right now. She's bringing kids out into the crowd. She's being people's best man. She's doing some good press out there.
But she's still earning her stripes.
Yeah,
Like she's not. What is the other thing people want to say about characters that are just perfect? What is the name for that?
Mary
Mary Sue.
Sue.
A Mary Sue. She is not a Mary Sue. This is someone who's definitely earning her stripes. She's
Yeah,
taking her licks. I mean, she just had a bat broken against her back,
yeah,
That
and
Mary
she
Sue
was.
shit is that Mary Sue shit isn't even real. That's just made up by sexists who hate female humans.
Oh,
I
I agree.
swear.
I agree. I agree. I agree. You know, but yeah. So it's just she's earning it. She's definitely earning it, and she's just endearing herself even more. And but the story's not over, right? It's like
yeah,
okay, now that we know, it just makes them a stronger tag team now.
yeah. So a frazzled Necroton shows up backstage and tells our team that both members of FISO are dead and now they need tag champions.
The way they show their corpses just like leaning on each
Just
other,
like,
like
yeah. Because
a very
when we left them, he was strangling her with a chain and she was bashing his brains with the title.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that, you just
Was it
see
with the
them.
chain? I think it was with barbed wire. I think she was strangling
I
him with
Yeah,
barbed
with barbed
wire.
wire.
Oh my
Yep.
Yeah.
God.
And he's like bashing her head in with a chair. And they're
Yeah.
just both like leaning on each other, bleeding to death on each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. So neither one got what they wanted, which that didn't help anybody do
No,
anything. But I love this idea of like, oh, and then again, wrestling trope. Oh, somebody's injured. We need somebody else. Get him out there. Get him out
that's
there.
right.
And so they picked the only people that are still left to be the DLPW Tag Champions. Sun and Steel are declared champions. The whole event, the whole tournament ends with fanfare and the two embrace with their championships. They follow Necroton to his castle and they share a moment where Lona tells her father that from now on they will move forward together. They kind of talk about what you were talking about, Alex, about missed time, right? Because of
Mhm.
how them never having this conversation, and with this promise that they're going to move forward together, I think they do finally able to mourn, in a healthy way, by pouring into
Yeah.
each other instead of ripping each other apart. But it's bad news because Necroton is a classic wrestling promoter. He admits that he can't follow through on the promise of payment. That he said, how much I said? 100? I don't really. The house didn't make 100. So like, how where I'm supposed to get that money from, bro?
Did I say resurrection? I meant zombie.
Here's your zombie mommy. How'd you feel about that ball dropping, Yogi?
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting way to go about the whole promoter thing. Because if you like, he was referencing wrestling as if he would have known that level of lore in professional wrestling. Sometimes the promoter's a piece of trash. Yeah. And to the devil guy's credit, Necro. I mean, he's not like the devil. Necroton. He did have a backup.
Yeah. I'll get you booked somewhere, bro. Don't even worry about it. I know another promoter.
Trust me. I know a guy.
He'll pay you. He'll pay it for it. So they, because he says if he did bring Yua back with his limited powers, she would be more zombie than Yua. Fearing this would be a possibility, he set up a backup arrangement to have them booked as a team to fight God themselves for a chance to get Yua back. We get a flashback to the birth of Lona, showing the first time the three of them became a family, something that could be possible if they're able to beat God. What I love about the Luna birth is that Jacob has to take off his mask. It just feels symbolic, right? It just feels like we're putting Cobra Sun away. In front of this baby, I will always be Jacob. And also literally until this last match just happened.
Like in a real way, the baby probably shouldn't see the mask.
Yes.
He should see the father's face.
What the hell is that?
Now I'm thinking of psychosis in a labor. Labor.
Oh my god!
His hair and his big old thing. Really, really sweet stuff. Again, just showing them as a family, and again, just showing what's all at stake here. And now we're fighting God again. Like, just go with it.
I'm with it. Like at first, it all started with, join this tournament. Oh, and by the way, it's real. You're gonna have to fight some giant apes, orangutans, and a chimp, and then you're gonna have to fight some dudes who are from another dimension, and they're the Knights of the Round Table or whatever. Now you're having a death match because your brother-in-law just got almost murdered. And by the way, I don't have the power to do what I said. I'm kind of tired. But God. The logical conclusion, right? This is the logical conclusion to the story. Is that they would have to fight God. I love when they show God. Did you see who the referee is?
No, I didn't see who the referee was.
It's blatantly Jesus, man.
That's hilarious.
That's incredible.
That's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
blatantly
right.
Jesus. It's great.
Absolutely right. That's great. I don't know if you can see it. That's great.
Great, but I don't know if it's necessarily impartial. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just feel like, but to be fair, he did go to bat for the humans a lot, so maybe he is impartial. Maybe he is impartial.
He's what's
the best of both worlds. He's Marvin the Martian in Space Jam. He's a Looney Tune.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say MF Doom is in the crowd in heaven.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's a couple of there's a Jushin Liger up there. There's
wow.
If you look hard enough, you can find a bunch of interesting people in heaven. Not all of them are dead. Some of them are.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up our final issue here, and in it, Sun and Steel face off with God, who is both incredibly physically and technically formidable. He uses his magic to give our team matching gear, and the fight begins. God delivers a heavenly belly-to-belly suplex, like throws this woman, I think, out of the ring.
Yeah.
With a single toss.
He is not holding back.
Yes.
Awesome. The outfit change. Stuck into her mother's outfit. Her mother's old from the torn up GCW outfit into her mother's old gear. Matching with the father. I thought that was awesome. Great.
Yeah, because his father never had matching gear, and now they're quite literally a team.
Yeah.
He looks at her and he sees her mother. That's such a great scene. Like right before the match starts, he tells her, Yeah, I think she asks him like, "Dad, do you want to start?" But he sees her mother. He doesn't see
Yeah.
her anymore. That's such a great. You got this.
So
You got this.
so then again with the references, God nails a Tiger Driver 98. Again, very specific move. This isn't like I used to hate all the time when professional wrestling was depicted by people who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was always a power bomb. It was always a power driver. It
Body
was always a Boston
slam.
and a Boston crab.
No, but
That
they
was it.
call everything a body. They
And
call
everything is a body
everything a
slam.
pile
Yeah.
driver.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a pile
Right.
driver. That was like a clothesline, dog. What are you
Right,
talking
right,
about?
right.
And the thing is, commentators never use the term body slam. I've never heard the term.
No.
Oh, and there he
He
goes
hit
with a body
a
slam.
body slam.
Like no.
Yeah, right.
So this guy pulls out a Tiger Driver 98, and it looks to be the end of our heroes before Lona hits what can only be described as a Thunder Rosa inspired shoot drop kick
Yeah.
to the back of the head of God. Now this happened in a match in AEW, in which I think it was like a triple threat or something, and Jamie
The
Hayter
tag.
is it a tag?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Jamie Hayter's tag makes a lot of sense. Jamie Hayter's pinning somebody, Thunder Rosa's tag team partner, and Thunder out of nowhere, out of sight of Hayter. Hayter has no idea where she's at in the world. Just jumps off the top rope and drop kicks her directly in the back of the head. Gnarly, one of the gnarliest things I've ever seen. And I'm reading this comic, and God's going for the pin, and I'm like, it's a Tiger Driver 98, bro. You can't get out of that. And boom, the drop kick comes out, and it's almost the same shot, like out of the field of vision. Boom, 2 feet back of the head. I was like, wow, okay, this guy knows what he's been watching. And again, when Rosa did it, it wasn't celebrated. It wasn't something that people were like, oh, that was cool. People were like, yo, that was jacked up. She just came out of nowhere.
Did she try to
Clocked that
kill
girl.
her?
Yeah, clock that girl. So it's funny that they use that in here. So she breaks up the pin. God is not one to suffer fools, though, so he delivers the very fitting crucifix bomb.
Yes.
Oh man,
I thought that was
incredible!
awesome.
I
thought that
can't
was awesome.
believe that happened.
I'm sitting there like this. I saw him go, like wrap himself around the arms, and I'll go, "Is he doing a cru?" And then the very next panel just says it, crucifix bomb, and I'm like, "Holy hell!" So he hits a crucifix bomb to Lona. He reverses a snapdragon from Cobra Sun. Again, very specific move.
Yeah.
Snapdragon suplex, only done by one gentleman that I know.
Oh, and I love how something we haven't really talked about is the lettering in this comic.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah.
And throughout the issues, you constantly see that classic wrestling thing where the crowd goes whoa. That happens numerous times, and the booms and the crackles. But here we get counter, and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. That's I love hearing counter. I was beautifully done. The way
you can almost see him slide. You can almost see him complete the backflip.
It's a Akira slide.
Snapdragon. Yeah,
it's
and
the
when he
Akira
slides,
slide.
and you're like, again, you're seeing this. It's all just playing out in front of you. Suddenly, Luna hits a high octane ass cutter that levels God.
Incredible.
And again, at this point, the other stuff I'm going, maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's getting it. When this happened, I go, nah, this guy, he died in the wall. He's seen it. He's seen Osprey. He's seen Kenny Omega. He's seen Kota Ibushi. He knows these guys. These are moves done in current modern wrestling by a select few. So it was really, really cool to see that stuff. They go to set up for the sword sunrise. Yua and Jacob's old finishing move. They land it with great impact, but God kicks out at 1.
That was awesome. That was so funny. That was so wrestling. Like I was like, that's happening now. Like people are still doing that. That's such a today trope. Like right now that was awesome. That was some real shit.
Kick out at 1.
I'm gonna show you this thing I learned from Goldberg.
Yeah.
No sell.
Nothing. Shrug it off. Nothing.
But they did get a drop of blood out of him.
They did. All that for a drop of blood. Because although he's barely shaken, a singular drop of blood falls to the mat. Our heroes made God bleed.
Did you see?
Necroton is flipping out. He's marking out.
Yeah,
he's the only one marking out. Like the entire crowd is distraught. They're actually They're
I didn't
crying, like
notice.
they don't
I
want
didn't
this
notice
to
that.
happen. Yeah,
I didn't
they're
notice
in
that.
tears, like, no, God is bleeding. It's
It.
crazy.
I will not lie. It does feel weird to be reading this and actively rooting against God. I guess I want our heroes to win.
Guy's got it
We're-
coming.
Of course, you want them to get what they want, right?
yeah.
You want
And
them
full
to get what they want.
transparency, we're recording this episode on Easter, so again, all very people risen. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. There's all
That's it.
match made in
Jesus
heaven.
is literally in the ring right now.
He's in the ring, man. He's in the ring.
He's risen.
I don't know if he's checking
Reffing.
out for.
He is.
I don't know if
He
he's
is
checking for
reffing.
the. Yeah, I don't know if he's checking for the tag rope. I didn't see him.
No, it's a handicap match, so they can attack God as they will.
Oh God.
Oh, shit.
So
And wait. When you're hotboxing against God, is it a handicap?
yeah, right. Yeah,
Just make sure your arms are long enough.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
To box with God.
You know, I love the way he draws him because if you remember Gladiator,
Yeah,
he reminds me of the dude they get to come out of retirement.
yeah, yeah,
There with the metal mask. And
yeah.
I
He
was
looks
just like,
very.
oh,
It's very Greek
yeah,
inspired imagery
like
when
the
it comes
dude
to
is
that kind.
huge. He's wearing like just this perfect toga, and he's just got this metal mask because you can't see the visage of God, otherwise your
Yeah,
eyes will burn. You know.
yeah. It's super cool because it makes him this stoic sort of non-expression, yeah, or
hmm
expressionless
He,
opponent for these two.
he's just an entity, you know.
Yeah. So our heroes made God bleed. In retaliation, God turns up the heat. He hits a double clothesline and his finisher, which resembles a modified top rope one wing angel
No,
on
it
both of them.
was. There was no, like at this point, I realized, like, oh, he's saying Kenny Omega's
It's
God.
God.
Because he straight up, I thought it was a coincidence. Like, okay, the Tiger Driver, coincidence.
Yeah.
Reversing the Snapdragon suplex.
Yeah.
Okay. Hitting the one wing angel off the
It's
top rope.
one
I was
step
like,
too
all right.
far, bro.
All right,
Yeah.
you've done it. That's Kenny Omega in a mask. Like, I
Yeah.
get it now. I understand.
Yeah.
That was so sick. It's double one wing. We're talking about it. It's a one winged angel, right? But because God, he's got both wings. He's a
Yeah.
double one winged angel off the
Yep.
top rope.
Yeah.
Explodes the ring with it.
I was about to say
Right.
Awesome.
the impact destroys the entire ring.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
the
Buckles
ring
buckle.
explodes.
Oh,
It reminds me very much of when what was
Brock
it
and
when
Big Show.
Brock and Big Show. There you go.
Yeah.
You got me. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just boom.
Called it the pillars of Goloth of gold.
Golgotha, the pillars of this is all biblical stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
all biblical stuff.
That
Yeah,
was
because
awesome.
he would be like German suplex by the man of creation. Like they're always reminding you that this guy is quite literally God. So he pins them both and wins the match. For their valiant effort, he presents them with championship belts. Lona tosses hers in anger, saying she doesn't want a belt, she wants her mom. God says that he won't bring Yua back, but he will unlock a forgotten memory of Yua in Lona's mind. Suddenly, we flash back to a young Lona asking her mom where people go when they die. Yua says life is like pro wrestling. Even if the end is predetermined, it's about the story you tell or the life you live in between. And I was like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah, that was deep. Shit.
I was like, damn, yeah. And in present day, a tearful Lona hugs her father after receiving this touching memory. And from the heavenly crowd, you can see Yua watching on with a smile on her face and her hand to her heart as she says, "That's my girl."
That was awesome, man. Of course she would be watching. They're literally in heaven. Like, of course she'd be sitting there.
And again, showing she's worthy, right? Of course, like Yua gets into heaven. She gets a front row seat.
I was trying to pick up because whenever you get to see this many people up close in the crowd, you kind of, there has to be like reference in there somewhere. So I was trying to see what I could get. The only stuff I picked up was the dude in the AEW shirt, the Boston Red Sox guy, and a dude who mysteriously had the clothes on that he didn't look like Spike from Cowboy Bebop, but he certainly had the outfit on.
I'm looking at the episode artwork that you have behind you, and look at they even go to a point of making the referee like
Oh
stress
yeah.
out what's going on there. He's like, oh my, he's that guy on the cover of Action Comics 1,
Ah!
just with his
Yeah.
head edited, yeah, with his head in his hands, just bugged out there. So I'm not gonna lie, when the book ended this way, it felt to me the first time I read it, I was like, felt like it was missing a little something, and the second time I read it, it's absolutely perfect.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
exactly the ending that this book needs. Um, I guess because the dangling, bringing her mother completely back and not getting that, when you think of like the hero's kind of journey stuff, felt a little bit off. But ultimately, you realize that that's not what she needed. What she needed was the reminder that it's nothing's ever really the end.
it
And
it
that
would
was
have been a
pretty
weird it would have been a weird ending to bring her back to
good.
life. Like it would have been actually really. I don't think I
Mhm.
ever expected her to come back to life because that's
Yeah.
so odd. Like that never works.
No.
you
No.
you kind of
Yeah.
have to do a part two now. Now I got to see
Yeah.
how this damn thing turns out, and then it
Right.
turns into a different kind of story. Like I don't even want to read that anymore. I think they could
Um,
expand on this though. I'd love to see him come back to this world.
Well, they're
oh,
tag team
definitely.
champion. They're God tag team champions, and I assume someone's gonna want those belts. I honestly believe that they left room purposely. They- There's no need. There's no need for any of this world building. Not
I
really,
actually
right?
I think that even if you don't plan on returning to the world, I think you should put in the effort if you can, just because it makes
Fair,
for
fair.
a more rich experience. It makes you care about things a lot more than
Yeah, it can actually set up the
like
rules and feel a bit more real. Even if the
yeah,
rules and the
like
place and is bonkers, you
yeah.
can still set up.
I like that it exists in his mind because like
Yeah,
we had a whole rundown of tag teams and where they came from and finishing
Hmm.
moves and what they look like, and we only saw like four of them.
yeah,
Like
Hmm.
yeah.
I like that. Even
We
if he
saw that
doesn't
Yeah.
return, I'd like this.
there's a grand war. He has more enemies. Seemingly,
Yeah.
he's still marooned on that planet. If he
Right.
didn't have enough power to make Yua come back, he don't got enough power to leave. So his ass is stuck there. It'll be interesting to see. And I wonder if now they're dual champs. Do they have both the Death and the God tag titles? Like
Oh,
Right.
are they
that's right.
rocking? Are they double champs?
Unified tag team champions of heaven and hell.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, yeah. So
Nice.
that's got to be great. But
Uh,
yeah, man. I go ahead, Alex.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say one, it was beautiful the way they call back to that scene way back in the first issue
Hmm.
where that sweet scene where okay, this is now you was just a mom and she's having that beautiful conversation with her daughter in bed and God is like, "Hey, let me flesh out that memory for you so you can remember why your mom's passing isn't the worst thing."
Hmm.
And in fleshing out that memory, you see that the mom was like, "Hey, it's doesn't matter if how you die or when you die. It's a matter of how you live your life." And the fact that everything about her mom's life can be celebrated, and now that the daughter has gone through this journey to experience that, which to me, this whole journey was grief. This
Yeah,
is a story. This is a story of grieving and then what do you get in the end? You get acceptance. You accept that this has happened, and you just accept the fact that this person is gone. But even though in them being gone, you you know they're still with you, and it's beautiful. Like just how quickly, as soon as she accepts that, you realize, yeah, my mom was always with me. She's always been watching me. She's
yeah,
always part of me. I still have my dad, and now we're together in our grieving and now we're elevating, right? The
yeah.
dad you can see has this new
Lease on life.
resurgence of life, and she can get past this. So like this whole journey, like the mom was telling her, now that she's gone through this journey, now she can get to that next place in her life so that she can just get on and continue her story.
Right.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm pretty sure. I know, Don. You've lost people who are close to you. I've lost people who are close to me. So like this ending always, brings a tear to my eye. It makes me think, yeah, those people are still with me. They may be gone, but those people are still very much with me. And I hopefully look forward to sitting in a ring watching with them one day watching God wrestle some people, you know?
That's gotta be heaven, right? That's gotta be heaven, right? Go
Pretty
be in the
sure.
stands with all the people
Mhm.
Yeah.
that you've lost over the years watching God hit a one-wing angel. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. You know, what else are you gonna do in heaven? Hey God, so what do you got? What do you got for a heavenly SmackDown on Friday? So, oh, just stand by, brother. Like, oh man, what? You talking about Randy Savage
Oh, he's got it, bro.
Mr. Perfect?
There's some wrestlers up there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No
They got
Jimmy
Chris
Snuka matches,
Benoit
but
in
there's
a
some wrestlers
mask.
up there. There's some wrestlers.
Ah,
No Jimmy
Come
Snooker,
on.
unfortunately.
No Jimmy
That's it.
Snuka. Snuka.
He's
Um,
like, I wanted that Benoit guy, but couldn't get him up
yeah.
here.
No. They
No,
they booked
no.
them. They booked them real early down there. But yeah, man, this is a meditation on grief. It's a meditation on sometimes us holding on to the wrong or getting the wrong messages from events or the wrong because life is a series of storms. I've constantly said this, and I used to think that if I did certain things, I could avoid them. But life is always going to throw clotheslines and snapdragons and light tubes and chairs wrapped in barbed wire at you. And you just train and you get better and you keep people close to you that have your best interest at heart. And together, as a team, as a tag team, even, you can get things done. You can get more done. We're stronger together. We're better together. And the more that we have the kind of mercy and patience that Yua and I'm sorry that Lona and her father ended up having with each other towards the end, right? That level of communication, transparency, and mercy. That's what really rules this world. That's what really propels us forward as a species is having that ability of understanding that we are all more similar than we are different, and that means that we've all gone through some shit, you know,
yeah,
and understanding that you should be kinder to people, and sometimes just watch some pro wrestling. Damn it, just turn on, just turn on some pro wrestling. Uh, ultimately, Yogi, what did you get out of this story?
Ultimately, I just as heartfelt as it was, and I mean, you guys touched on pretty much all of it. So I bringing it back to just what stood out to me the most. It was just such a pure wrestling fans experience. Like this was made for fans by the fans, but it also had a way to connect any anybody. Like anybody could connect to the story at any point.
Yeah,
This would be a very successful animated film.
he's still pushing
Like,
for
uh,
it.
at least because it's not like it
Yeah,
has to be a mini series. You could put this in 2 hours. Be
yeah,
excellent. I would love
100%.
to watch this, but I gotta I gotta talk to this guy Daniel Warren Johnson someday. He seems really knowledgeable when it comes to pro wrestling.
Yeah, yeah, and he's continuing to do great stuff over at Transformers. They're still
mhm.
hitting drop kicks and suplexes over there, and also similarly, having a deceptive is the word I'm going to use, deceptive layer of heart in some of this stuff. Like you don't think you're getting that stuff because on paper, a lot of this stuff just looks gonzo. It looks crazy for the sake of being crazy, but ultimately, I believe a smokescreen for the real beating heart in a lot of these stories.
Definitely.
And Kai's just really good at doing what he does.
Yeah, because I mean, look at this story, you know, is presented like this. Oh, it's a wrestling story. Oh, and now they're going into this whole metaphysical realm. It's a story about people grieving, and then even the same thing's going on with him over at Transformers. In Transformers, I don't want to spoil it, but there's so much human elements to the story, even from the perspective of the giant talking robots that it has a heart. And the same thing with Beta Rebuild. His story of Beta Rebuild is all about, you know, Beta Ray getting his swagger back, essentially. And Murder Falcon, from what I know, same thing. It's this god of a character, I believe, who's trying to just fix himself.
How
So
how do we build ourselves back up?
yeah,
When all
you know,
seems lost, when we seem at the bottom, how do we build ourselves back up? And what's interesting is that usually we get some help from other people who've been at the bottom. That's how life works.
Right. Yep.
You know, really, really good stuff. Guys, got any final thoughts on Do a Powerbomb?
I just want to see him come back to this world for just once. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I really love that.
We've covered some stellar stuff this year already. You know, we're literally a third in this year. And this is one of my favorite reads so far of the entire year. I'm gonna be screaming about this book for quite some time, I think. And it also serves as a perfect entry point to my two fandoms, right? So if I have somebody who's a professional wrestling fan but doesn't really necessarily read comics, I would recommend it. And if I have somebody who's a big a comic fan but doesn't necessarily like professional wrestling, you know, get it. And yeah, this is one of those books. I don't blame you for trying to get the single issues. And we want these books to be successful. We want these companies to realize that things like this are what should be rewarded. These labors of love, these intensive, you got to think about the research that went into this. You got to think about the time it took to do this art, to make it as kinetic as it is. All of it is knocked out of the park because it's a labor of love from somebody who cares about it. A lot of this stuff can feel conveyor belty. We got to get to the next event. We got to get to the next outfit. We got to put out 3 more suits because Funko Pops, you know, kind of stuff. But this feels like a one of one. It feels like an original. It feels like one of the stories. Like I said, when people ask me, I'm trying to get in and I just want to read a story, Do a Powerbomb is going to be at the top of that list.
It's one of those. It's one of those books that reminds you what Image is for, man. Image, and, it kind of reminds me of old school Vertigo. They used to let people go off like this, but definitely Image. That pure, raw, no editorial. This comes from my heart. Lay it all on the table thing. Like, I don't honestly, I say I want him to come back, but I don't even know if he'd be able to give this kind of passion to it again, because it's like he laid it all out there already.
It's asking for the rematch of a very good match, right? You're almost daring it to be bad because you already have your good, you already have your almost perfect, you know, thing. But some people can pull off amazing rematches.
Yeah, I don't want to take a chance on seeing a Rock Cena too.
No. Thrice in a lifetime. Those bastards did that already twice. But
wait.
Back to back
Cena 3?
No, there might be now.
I think you don't want to see.
No, I didn't want to see a Rock Cena 2.
Oh,
and it was terrible.
I was there for that, bro.
I was there for that one too.
I'm falling asleep at the stage because we already all yelled all our stuff for Punk and Taker when they had that match.
Beat me through it. Punk and Taker
got super tired, and then
even the Fandango Jericho match was better that night.
Right. Everyone was hoping for a cash in that we didn't get. It ultimately just got a regular Swagger and Del Rio match for no reason at WrestleMania. That was like very super basic, and then Triple H and Brock fought, and Triple H felt like he deserved to beat Brock Lesnar, which I was like, what is going on here? After that, Brock goes on and becomes a killer. It beats everybody. Beats The Undertaker, suplexes John Cena 50 million times, but only after Triple H beats him. Only after, you know.
That's that rite of passage. I got to get a little burial in, brother. How you going to react to that? I just want to see.
This is the chocolate and peanut butter kind of combination, this comic books and pro wrestling stuff. It's just makes sense, and you'll be seeing a lot of it moving forward with this partnership with Comic Book Click and Dirt Sheet Radio. So Comic Book, one of the transformations. Oh, go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say no. I don't want people to feel like it's gonna change anything. Whatever you love about Comic Book Click is gonna be right there, untouched, unmoved, unbothered. If anything, we're just building we're building around it on top of it. Yeah. Still, it's always going to be there. I think you won't, if you're like, oh no, they're going to put so much wrestling stuff on my feed, I'm going to hate it. It's definitely not going to be that, but it's going to be fun.
But also, if you want a little bit of wrestling, we are going to have
there, man.
Stuff. Yeah. We're going to be sharing some space on the interwebs very, very soon. You'll be seeing more Comic Book Click over at Dirt Sheet Radio. You'll be seeing more Dirt Sheet Radio over at Comic Book Click. And one of the biggest moves is Dirt Sheet Radio is moving into comicbookclick.com. We're going to be hosting the episodes of the Dirt Sheet Radio podcast, which comes out each and every week. We'll be hosting articles written by them dealing with professional wrestling, blogs, etc., and so forth. We're really creating a space in our space for Dirt Sheet Radio, and they're doing the same across their socials. Again, we're just sharing the love. This is the tag team that we always knew it could be. You know, we were two singles trying to go out there, and they were like, "Oh, these guys are vanilla midgets," but now we're DIY. So you know, this is now we're seemingly stronger together. So yeah. Comicbookclick.com is not only our one stop for everything Comic Book Click, every episode of the Major Issues podcast, articles written by us, but it's also going to be the home of some pretty awesome content coming from Dirt Sheet Radio. So give that a check if you guys have. The Major Issues podcast, as you know, is available wherever podcasts are found. Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the Apple Podcast app. I think Google Podcasts is done. I'm not sure. YouTube, Spotify, and more. You can literally just Google Major Issues Podcast and we'll be the first ones to pop right up. We've been doing this for quite a long time, which means if you go over at comicbookclick.com, we have over 600 hours of content. It's a whole lot of talking, but it's about the passionate stuff and some of the latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. So if you dug this episode, go ahead and check us out. Again, I know a lot of people are going to be seeing us for the very first time, hearing us for the very first time with this sort of partnership, especially with this particular book. And I want you guys to know, if you're digging what you're listening, John Yogi's on so many episodes. We've spent a lot of time talking, multiple 3-hour episodes of podcasts recorded in the dead of night. Even some podcasts that you'll never hear because they were lost to the Speed Force, unfortunately.
Yeah. You have to be cautious when they bring me on because it's like, all right, we're gonna get it. It's a 3-hour movie. It's a 2-hour movie. Somehow we turned it into a 3-hour podcast. How?
Yeah, it's a 3-hour conversation. Yeah,
we don't know, but we looked at the time, and it never feels like 3 hours. So that's the great thing about it. So go and check all those out, all that shit.
Yeah, all that stuff and more. And like I said, if you're a Comic Book Click loyalist, go over and check out some of the Dirt Sheet Radio stuff on the site, and go and check out some of them, some of their socials. We'll be putting a link to their link tree in the show notes. So if you just go into the description, it'll take you there and it shows you all the places that Dirt Sheet Radio is. But also remember, they'll also be over at comicbookclick.com, which is super important because there's almost like a consolidation right there. Everything that you would want and need, and no rules, no zucks. Can't get zucked out here in these streets with a website out there. But like everything, we're a tag team partner, and we're crawling over to you guys for the hot tag. We need your help. We need your support, whether it's monetarily by going to comicbookclick.com and hitting that shop comic book click button. It'll take you to our TeePublic. Right now, if you're watching the video version of this, Alex is rocking our ironically NWO inspired piece of merch, our CBC t-shirt, already merging professional wrestling and comic books right there. And we get a kickback of every single one of those shirts. You can put those logos on cups, on pillowcases, on phone cases, and we get a cutback of every single purchase made. It pays the bills out here. It's Smeckles, but it pays the bills. And also I design each and every piece of merchandise that goes up there. So, help us out that way. If you want to give us some money without necessarily getting anything physical in return, you can go to patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. And for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, change you find in your couch, you can help support us to keep our lights on here. We're trying to afford more hardware, more software. We are now doing this podcast. We're also doing a monthly video series called Major Previews. So any kind of support, whether it's monetarily by those ways I just mentioned, or word of mouth. Tell a friend and tell a friend about the Major Issues podcast, about Major Previews, about comicbookclick.com, and about Dirt Sheet Radio. Spread the love. I've been to the future where Dirt Sheet Radio and Comic Book Click do become the latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. Just can't tell you how we do it yet because I'll mess up the timeline. And I want to live in a timeline where this is happening. We're in a good timeline here. Dwayne ain't messing things up too much. Yeah, we made it.
I don't want cable to have to come back through time and tell me I got to put on like 8,000 pouches to.
right.
He's like, we have to prevent the coronavirus. Cable, you're a little late. You might have
Yeah.
landed wrong in the wrong spot, buddy. You fucked that one up.
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, and also, if you're time traveling, can you stop Black Adam from happening too? Can you just can you go ahead and nip that in the bud? I think that might change the timeline a little bit. The hierarchy is about to change over between comic books and professional wrestling with this partnership. So yeah, guys, get ready, get on the bandwagon before it becomes full. We are, this is the Babe Ruth rookie card. We're still in. We're still going up. We're still in a weird sort of infancy. Things are about to get really crazy, really big, really fun, really soon. So you want to be one of those guys that got in before the bandwagon gets full and there's too many of y'all for us to name. You see these crowds out here, man. It's getting crazy. So go ahead and like I said, follow us all over social media. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Major Issues Podcast, which comes out next week and every single Thursday. And John, I'm going to hand it over to you because you have quite possibly the busiest week that you've had since running Dirt Sheet Radio.
It's very busy. If you're listening to this, it would be Thursday morning. You're listening, watching.
Yes, watching. Watching.
You would still be before WrestleMania weekend, where we have the SmackDown Post Show Rewind live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We also have the Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor Post Show Rewind. Will be live. We'll be reviewing these shows on Friday night and Saturday afternoon. We'll be doing a watch along for NXT Stand and Deliver Saturday afternoon at noon Eastern. It'll be 10. It'll be about 9 a.m. my time, so that'll be awesome. And that night, Saturday night, we'll be doing the WrestleMania Saturday post-show rewind, where we'll cover all the happenings of the first night of WrestleMania. And then on Sunday night, we'll do the final WrestleMania weekend post-show rewind immediately after the event has concluded. It's going to be wild because it is a long week.
Yes,
it'll be fun though.
It's a long week. There's going to be so much to talk about. Some of the stuff that's in the works for this WrestleMania weekend has been quite literally years in the making, right? So if it goes well or if it doesn't go well, regardless, there will be a conversation to be had about the comings and goings of WWE and professional wrestling in general, as the entire weekend is stacked with Impact pay-per-views, GCW pay-per-views, all kinds of stuff.
We're covering it all. Even the stuff we don't have live streams for. WrestleMania weekend is massive. There's wrestling all literally running at like 24 hours. Like there's midnight shows and morning shows, and it's all over the place. We'll be covering it all week long, all weekend long. That's what we do, baby.
Yeah, so head over to Dirt Sheet Radio to get that smorgasbord of professional wrestling information for this stacked week of WrestleMania week. And if you're still a little bit hungry, even after all that, pick up this book, Do a Powerbomb. I think it's a perfect accompaniment to anything that's going on with this weekend when it comes to professional wrestling. Remember that at the core of this, it's about fun, it's about passion, and it's about getting together with your friends and yelling as loud as you can about some of this stuff. I do it now with wrestling and comics, so it's fantastic. But we will be back next week. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. Thank you two for being on. Again, this is the beginning of some really cool stuff that we'll be doing in collaboration. So without further ado, my name is George Serrano, aka The Don.
It's Sean Escudero, aka Yogi.
And I'm Alex Garcia, aka The Cog.
And this has been our Do a Powerbomb recap and review. And remember, whether you're a heel, whether you're a babyface, whether you're a tweener, whether or not you believe in any of those things, always remember it's about passion. Always remember it's about fighting spirit. And always remember that not only are you part of the clique, but you, yes, you are worthy.